Well, it seems like it's always the barber in every community that seems to be the center of some sort of group, some sort of community group. It happens here in Millville. There's a barber in Millville. He only charges like $10. And I would go there, and he's always like, oh, bring your flyers, bring things to promote. I'll hang it in the window. I'll do this. He knows everybody. The bar next door to him, they actually borrow his hot dog roller to sell food in the bar. They borrow his backyard for cornhole and horseshoes and all sorts of good stuff. And one day I went in there, and I was talking about a story where somebody stole my trash can. And he says, oh, well, I got a buddy. He's getting rid of 2 wheeling trash cans. I'll see if I can get one. Well, the guy went out of his way to go to his buddy's house with his truck, pick up the trash can, and drive it back to the barber shop to then give me because somebody stole our trash can. Barbers, man, they're a community service. And there's one barber in particular in Swissville who's really doing a lot for the community. He is selling crack cocaine right out of the shop. It's like an all-in-one service. You can go in there, get a cut, get a cut of drugs. You can get it all in one spot. That's the big news of the day. There's really not much going on that's really that interesting to me from a news perspective outside of Busnegie, which we're going to talk about, which is coming up. Great time at Octi Beer Fest. That was a really weird experience for me because I went in there and I was doing a remote at Octi Beer Fest. And I was playing music, and we were going up on air and saying, we're here from Octi Beer Fest, talking to different people. And it's something I don't do that often because it was a remote as if I were, and I guess I really was in the moment, a radio DJ spinning the tunes. However, we didn't have any records, so I wasn't actually spinning any tunes. But I did have a laptop, and I clicked the mouse, and we played music that way. But it was weird because I would go up, I said, you just heard this, this is coming up, and this and that. And it's just something I don't do that often. But it was a great experience. And it was a really cool event because they shut down a street, and I was expecting something similar to Millville days where you just kind of had stuff like all over. But no, this was literally in the intersection of Sherman and Grant Avenue here in Millville, and they had collaborations of beer and tea brewed together. And it was right there in the intersection, and everything was roped off with caution tape, and you just walked right in and walked around, and you couldn't take your alcohol outside of the place. But it was just like a really neat experience because no matter where you were, you could see the event just walking down the street. It was a lot of fun. This is River Talk. I'm Brian Crawford. This is the River's Edge Radio Network at riversedgepgh.com. Don't forget you could tell your Echo device to listen to the River's Edge station on TuneIn, and you can listen to us right there, right from the Amazon Echo. I do that all the time. That's like that's the number one thing that I use my Echo for is basically just to listen to music. Everything else, I use it as an alarm clock. I listen to music. I do control my TV now. Maybe I should save that. No, I'll just tell you because I'm really excited about this. I got this box. It's called the Echo Cube. And now I don't even have to use the remote to turn on the TV. You know, like with Alexa, you could say, Alexa, play this, Alexa, do that. And it was starting to do some of those things. Well, now I don't even have to touch the remote to turn on the TV. I can just sit down and say, Alexa, turn on the TV. Everyone's televisions are just like going like all berserk right now, if you're listening in. But yeah, I use it now for everything. I don't even have to turn the volume up. I don't even have to click the button to raise the volume. I just say, Alexa, turn up the volume. And she actually controls the volume of the TV and turns the TV volume up. So that's my awesome thing of the month, I suppose. So we'll have Christine Marie in studio in just a few minutes. She's coming in with new information. I've had a weird month. I was telling you the last couple of weeks about my roller coaster month. What does it all mean? Christine Marie will tell me here in just a little bit. We also have Suzanne Werder in studio with Busnegie. She's going to be telling us all about Busnegie, what's going on. It's going to be right outside the Busnegie Museum of Art and Natural History. And then, of course, we have all of your weird news and all of that good stuff as well. But I'm going to bring Suzanne in right now. Suzanne Werder. She's with Busnegie, which I've been hearing all over Facebook. Suzanne, welcome to the River's Edge.
Hi, thank you, Brian. I'm very happy to be here.
So tell me about Busnegie. I'm very excited about this. I saw this on social media, and I was really excited to see. Well, and this is something we were talking about before we went on air. Suzanne Werder was actually a neighbor of mine in some ways at the old Millville Studios, if you remember those past episodes. But I was really excited because I saw Busnegie. I'm like, wow, this is cool. This is great. I was following it. Then all of a sudden, I saw the Carnegie Museum System make a post about Busnegie. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. They're recognizing what's going on and everything. So what exactly is Busnegie?
So the Busnegie Museum of Art is located in the bus shelters in front of the Carnegie Museum of Art. And it is featuring the work of over 50 local artists.
Oh, wow.
And that is a greater number of artists than the Carnegie International has.
Really?
And I just figured that out today. I think the Carnegie International, boy, it is such a great show. I got to go to the gala on Friday, and I think it has like 30-some artists, and it's terrific. But I was shocked that we're going to have over 50 in our little bus shelter.
Wow, that's so cool. How is the setup for this event? It's 50 it's actually in the bus shelter, 50 or 50 in and around?
Well, most of it is inside the bus shelter.
Wow.
Now, I got some grants. One was from Supinat, and then the other one was through the Pittsburgh Awesome Foundation with money that they got from the Sprout Fund. And so that all is going towards paying for the ad space. And it's more than my rent for my apartment, so it's not cheap, but that kind of was the legit angle for it. And then there will also be some guerrilla art going in as well.
What does that mean, guerrilla art?
So guerrilla means, just kind of an indie, sometimes forgiveness is easier to get than permission.
Oh, okay.
But I am trying to create a win-win situation for all involved. And so essentially, I am printing the work of a ton of artists on clear acetate, like any of you guys remember like those overhead transparencies back in the day? So, I am having art reproduced on those transparencies, and I'm going to use repositionable spray adhesive on the backs, and I'm going to put them up in the clear sections of the bus shelter that don't have ads. And and it's non-destructive, and it still allows the light in, and so we will be having the Busnegie Gallery of Lucidity and the Gallery of Clarity.
I'm going to bring Christine Marie in as well, because she's just itching to get involved.
No,
in this.
I'm just fangirling. I think you're so cool.
Thank you. And I am just shocked at how many people know about Busnegie, and like anytime anybody like sees me, they're like, "How's Busnegie?" And I have not paid a single dollar to advertise it. Well, other than buying the ad space for the art. But
isn't that amazing, though, that we live in this world that you can do that? I had this event just last month. It was called PodCon, and we had to move venues, and we moved really to a better venue, most likely. But because of that, I had to spend $500 out of pocket to cover the costs. And because of that, I'm like, I'm not spending any money in advertising. But we live in a world where you could still get the word out and get the message out without dropping all of this money in advertising.
Yeah, a few hours ago, I saw that just this past week, over 2,000 people saw Busnegie posts, and over like 300 responded by like liking or sharing or whatever. So I'm just blown away, and I'm so thankful. And I think that has given the Busnegie more ability to do more things as well.
Now, is that why the Carnegie Museum System got involved? Did they see the interest?
Yes, I think so. And we will be co-hosting a party with them on Thursday from 8 to 11. And it will be both in front of the Carnegie Museum on their space, and and you can go in the bus shelter if you want as well. And then the Carnegie is graciously opening up their doors, so
Oh, wow.
there will be things inside as well.
Things from your event
Yes.
inside
Oh,
as
yes.
well.
And
Oh, wow.
they put me in charge of most of the entertainment.
Yeah.
And I have such talented friends. So we will be having Ishtar headlining in the Hall of Architecture. So Ishtar is.
Oh, wait, so people can
That's
actually
so
go
cool.
in through the
Yeah,
museum
yeah.
itself as part of this. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
You can tell I
this is
go there
hard-
a lot. I knew you're like Hall of Architecture. I'm like, yeah, I got that. I know exactly where that's
Yeah. And they're like a belly dance rock band. So I think that'll work really well in the Hall of Architecture. And so that's Melissa Murphy, and who plays a mean clarinet, and that's her and her band. And we will be having Joanna Abel, who is a belly dancer. She will be dancing to Ishtar there. And so that'll be from about 10 to 11. We have to bring the party indoors around 10, just so we don't violate noise ordinances and things like that. So, and Colonel Eagleburger's High Steppin' Good Time Band will be kicking off the event at 8
Nice.
o'clock. They'll be on slightly before 8 to, kind of drum up interest. And we will be having giant puppets made by Cheryl Capizzuti. And so if any of you guys out there would love to be inside of a giant puppet.
She's actually letting people go inside.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so rare
Amazing.
because usually the giant puppeteers, they don't want anyone to touch.
No,
their
Cheryl
stuff.
has a whole library of
wow.
puppets that anybody can sign out.
That's
Isn't that
incredible.
amazing?
Puppets.
And they're kind of like on backpacks, and you wear them.
Okay. I
And-
feel like they make such an addition to an event
Yeah.
like this. I know we've had some of them at the Millville Music Festival just to see some giant puppet, moving around. It just
Yeah.
has such a great visual to it.
And her puppets look great when they're dancing. So, hopefully that'll draw more traffic our way.
Sure.
What else are we going to have? A couple jugglers are going to be there. Orion the Amazing
Of
will be
course.
there.
Fantastic.
And Zero juggle. He wanted to juggle with fire, and the Carnegie said no. But, I get that. I get that. But he can juggle with other things as well. So he will be doing that. And he does contact juggling, which my brother, shout out to Joseph Werder in Asheville, North Carolina. My brother also does contact juggling. And
Cool.
if you'll have to show up to see what that is. It's very different than the juggling you're probably used to. Actually, I will give you a little hint. So if you've ever seen the movie The Labyrinth, David Bowie does a little bit of it. But
Okay,
it's-
I do. Now I remember.
With those
As soon as you say
crystal
David
balls.
Bowie, I'm like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I don't think he will be wearing the same pants that David Bowie was wearing.
No, the only way you get to perform that is wearing those pants. Those are the rules.
That's it.
It's a state ordinance. I don't know what to tell you if you're
Yeah.
going to be here.
I'm making giant chalk to draw on the sidewalks with. Also, a wonderful artist named Patrick Schmidt is going to be doing duct tape installations on the sidewalk.
Okay.
And we have a rider. We have a spaceship inside the Busnegie right now, unless somebody's stolen it, by a wonderful artist named Ryder Henry. And I'm also in the process of putting up finger knit plastic bags onto the bus shelter and around the bus shelter.
wow.
And I'm not quite done with that, but that will be finishing up.
So how did you
pretty
come up
soon.
with this idea for Busnegie? It just seemed like it came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, it's
Yeah,
boom.
well,
Were you at the bar when you came up with it? Because I was talking
No.
to Danielle from Tupelo Honey Teas. She came up with Oktoberfest at the bar. I come up with so many ideas at the bar. I just thought maybe, no?
I was actually at a Peace of Mind in Wilkinsburg for their open studio time with Natik Jalil. And, we were just kind of talking about how, man, the art world is, so many people don't really care about art. And just as artists, that really bums us out.
What do you mean they don't care about art?
It just, people don't think it's relevant to their lives, or, your average person on the street, is not going to go inside an art gallery or museum. It's just not on their radar to do. And, I wish visual art could be like as ubiquitous as music is, and music is a part of people's everyday lives. But I think the art has kind of marginalized itself by being elitist.
I think the typical type of art you're talking about is, because when you look at like graphic art and graphic design, that is so vital to people's perception of anything.
Absolutely.
And that's why certain companies rise and other ones fail. It's because it's like with the River's Edge, when we came up with our logo, I paid somebody to come up with that logo, and people were kind of giving me like the evil eye, like, why would you pay someone for this and that? And I'm like, well, because I'm not a graphic artist, and if I want someone to respect what I'm doing, I need to have a really quality logo. And so I feel like in the business world, there is a lot of respect, but you're right. I think when it comes to going to shows and things like that.
Yeah, people are not going to go out of their way. But I think inside each and every one of us, we have an intrinsic need for beauty. But because art is no longer being taught in schools and people feel like, museums and galleries aren't for them, there's a void there, and advertisers are more than happy to fill that void, and except the beauty that they are peddling has, been twisted and distorted and tainted and, counterfeited. And so...
Well, it's art for a purpose. It's
exactly.
to sell a certain message. It's not just somebody creating something because it's what they feel or love. But I think you could find that some in music as well. When you look at the pop music scene, you look at especially like country right now, which is the new pop music. And there's like there's a new YouTube video out there.
Is that what the kids are listening to these days?
That and hip hop are the two most popular genres in music right now.
They should blend those.
That would be really interesting. That would be really interesting. But country, you can look and see. There's this YouTube video that shows like all of these different country songs like right next to each other, and it's literally the same lyrics, the same music, everything just played at different tempos.
Now I have a country song that I've started. I only had the first line, so maybe somebody out there can help me finish it. But it just goes, "Mama was a sumo wrestler," and that's all the further I have.
That's all you have. There we go.
Yeah.
So
But,
came to the right place. Maybe somebody can roll with that.
So if somebody wants to finish "Mama was a sumo wrestler," that'd be great.
But we're saying that people don't go to as many shows. You're right.
No, and we were thinking about how like some of that is the fault of the art world, by kind of being elitist. And sometimes like you leave a gallery feeling really stupid because you don't have a degree in art history and you don't understand what's going on.
That was actually a thing at my last gallery thing, was that people thought that I was so educated and like they would be afraid to talk to me. And I'm like, this is my first art show as a painter. I'm
So how
I'm
did
on
you
your
break
team.
down that barrier?
I opened my mouth. It's not really hard at that point. Nobody thinks I'm smart.
And I think challenging art, there definitely is a place for that.
Sure.
But, if my vision for Busnegie, I would love to see museums be more like therapists and less like college professors. But, it's good to still eat your vegetables, but...
Sure.
But you don't want to subsist entirely on vegetables, So,
what do you think the right answer is to help solve that problem, especially in like some of the larger museums?
Oh, well, and a $20 price tag to get in, it is so worth it. But, that's out of the range of a whole lot of people. If you're working minimum wage, that's, over 2 hours of you working, to be able to go into, almost 3 hours after taxes. And, that can be out of the range of people, even though it is worth it and it is, it will feed you.
On the flip side, though, it's like to get a yearly membership there, it's a steal.
Well, it's a couple $100.
It's only $100 to be a member at
only
the Carnegie
$100.
Museum Systems. I know as a member.
Yeah.
And so with $100, I can go as many times as I want and bring a friend with me for free as many times as I want.
So that's a great deal.
So that's what I mean. So it's like, you're right. It's $20 to get in for one time. So I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it's weird that to become a yearly member, it's so affordable when you think about the long term.
Well, I think
price.
they want more members.
Yeah.
But, there are free days at museums. I'm so thankful that Pittsburgh has so many wonderful rad days, and I hope people take advantage of that. The Busnegie is also going to be promoting the fact that if you have an access card, like that's what you use if you have if you get food stamps or Medicaid, you get this like little card. And, if you're poor like me and you have one, I have an access card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can get into the Carnegie Museum for $1 and bring up to 3 other people for $1. And not enough people know about that. So part of the ad space that I purchased is devoted towards advertising that little known fact. The Carnegie also has a free program for teachers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the Busnegie will also be promoting that in some various ways. And there are also discounts for members of the military, things like that. So, and I want each and every one of you out there in, River City land, River's Edge land.
Edge world,
yeah, River's Edge world, to know that you belong at any gallery or museum, and don't let anybody make you feel like you don't. Okay, and art is basically advertising for things that matter in life that maybe we're prone to forget. Mary Cassatt, who was from Pittsburgh, she's a famous artist. Look her up. She painted all these beautiful portraits of like mothers and their children. And you can look at that art as being, kind of an ad campaign to help promote people spending time with their children, Or Monet ran a very successful ad campaign for spending time in nature or gardening.
Georgia O'Keeffe, horticulture.
Yeah. Yeah, and the desert. So many people have gone to the American Southwest because of Georgia O'Keeffe. And just, she just makes you want to go there. Her images of it are so lush. So, essentially that's an ad campaign.
Yeah.
Well, I do feel like the schools have failed us in the art community. You mentioned that arts are often being pulled from schools. It's often the first thing to go whenever there's a budget issue, which blows my mind as somebody who went to a school that, and I have nothing against sports. I'm an advocate of the sports. I think there needs to be funding for sports. But I think
are you an athletic supporter?
I am. Okay. But I appreciate arts and in athletics, but I think that there needs to be a balance. And where I went to school, as a good example, they didn't cut anything in the arts really. They actually spent more money when I was there, but they had cut English books. They didn't have enough money for English books, but we had the second best sports complex in Pennsylvania. And again, I'm an advocate of spending money on sports. But do you, or even in music with the band, we had this giant band tower that was made of like steel instead of like to replace the old wooden one. So again, I'm an advocate of spending money on these programs, but do you need the second best sports complex in Pennsylvania to have a good athletics program with like finger-printed lockers and things like that, or do you need like a football field and some bleachers? You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a misallocation of the resources. I feel like money could be moved around to help better support the arts. And I just know as like somebody who lived in the area, and this has always been something that has been kind of shocking to me and disappointing. We didn't really go to the museums when I was in school. Like we didn't take a field trip to the Carnegie Museum of Art. We didn't go to any of that stuff. We only lived in like 40 minutes away. And all of these things that are available, we didn't go to any of them. Hell, we didn't even go to Bushy Run. And we lived like 20 minutes away.
I grew up on Bushy Run.
Bushy Run, oh really?
Yeah.
Right near the
like
the
right
battlefield?
near it. Yeah.
Well, so I grew up in North Irwin.
Oh, yeah,
And-
me too. Government Road, Paintertown, that
Okay,
area.
Paintertown,
That's me.
yeah. Okay, well, I was in North Irwin, like on the hill.
Yeah.
So we were within walking distance
Of
almost
course.
of one another. But we never, as Norwin, we never went to Bushy Run.
That's
ever.
insane.
It's crazy.
I used to teach on the north side, and I took my students to the Mattress Factory in Randyland. They had never been to either of those places, even though it was within walking distance of
Yeah.
where they go to school and where they live. And Randyland is free,
Yeah, that's
and
true, that is.
they
Well,
had never
scheduling.
been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, not knowing it was there or not feeling like it was for them. And boy, Randy really was an inspiration to them. And he wasn't even there. But, when I was just sharing his story, my kids were like, wait a minute, you don't have to be rich to be able to make beauty. And you don't have to be super smart to be an artist. Because Randy, he bought this property for $10,000 on a credit card. Not the smartest thing to do. I wouldn't recommend that. But he has transformed it into
really
this
cool.
little world. And, I was recently at a wonderful art show by Atticus Adams at Pittsburgh Center for the Arts. And he has this quote, why are you trying to be normal? You should create your own world and invite others to join you. And I love that. And that's what Randy has done. And it was just so inspiring to these kids. And, that visit could very well be life-changing for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So the date, it's going to be this Thursday, correct?
Yes. And Thursday from 8 to 10, Carnegie Museum of Art. Because art is for everyone, not just a few. Art is for me and art is for you. So look at some art while you're waiting for the bus, because experiencing art is for all of us. Yay! And
I've been waiting the entire show for that song.
oh, thank you.
Adorable.
And bus shelters are one of the most egalitarian spaces that we have. People from all backgrounds, take the bus. It skews more lower income, but not necessarily.
No.
Especially if you don't want to park in Oakland or downtown.
Well, one thing that I've always really enjoyed about the bus, and this is I've just started using the bus, and not to sound like a snob, but understand where I'm coming from. You understand, Christine, out in Westmoreland County, there is basically no public transit.
True.
So you have to have a car to get anywhere.
See,
to
I just
work.
moved here. That's
Well, yeah, eventually I did, but you don't have any of that stuff available to you, so you're so used to just taking a car, and
begging your friends.
yeah, and I don't understand how to use a bus. Like I have to use
Oh,
Google.
you poor baby.
Yeah, I have to use Google, and I Google where I want to go, and it's great because Google will tell me, okay, take this bus, then walk from here to there, get on this bus. So that's really helpful. But my days off, I tend to not drive anywhere. I'll just take a bus to get anywhere because it's almost like, all those people, those annoying people that say, unplug, 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 and they always sound really obnoxious when they do it, but taking the bus is almost unplugging to me because I'm going out, I'm doing what I want to do, I'm on the bus. Somebody hits me up on the cell phone, Brian, I need you to do this, or can you do this, or whatever, and I can say, no, I can't, because I don't know how to get there, because I don't know how to ride a bus. I don't know how to read the bus
It's not
schedule.
intuitive.
So, no.
See,
and-
buses are magical. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, they can be magical. Sometimes they can be miserable, though. And the Busnegie will be dedicating one of the benches to people with lousy commutes. So I have a little plaque. Actually, I'll pull that out of my bag. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll do that later. And there's one plaque I'm going to install on the bench that says, this bench is dedicated to people with lousy commutes. And then the other bench will be dedicated to the creative spirit that exists inside all of us.
Nice. Very cool. That's going to be Busnegie. This
Yes.
Thursday is the party.
Yes.
At 8 p.m. right at the Carnegie Museum
I'll be
of
there
Art.
earlier, but yeah. Come visit us. Come say hi, and come have a blast at our party. Oh, the Carnegie's providing giant cake.
Wow.
I'm making giant chalk. What else? Yeah, it's going to be a 3-ring circus.
No, me.
Oh yeah. She's
There you
gonna.
go.
She just said, "Hey, can I be in on it?" So, yep.
Christine
Here I am.
Marie
Yes,
as
you
well.
can. So, and she'll be telling you all about what she does
Yeah.
in just a little bit.
All right. That's Suzanne Werder, Busnegie,
Busnegie.
Thursday. It's going to be Thursday, 8 p.m. right at the Carnegie
And
Museum
check us
of Art.
out on Facebook. And
What's that?
check us out on Facebook. Busnegie Museum of Art. Thanks.
All right, it is that time. It is the time where I save the entire city of Pittsburgh from total destruction with not one, not two, but 3 weird stories to entertain the Mon Monster, which terrorizes the city each and every week. Very important this week, so it doesn't attack the bus shelter out in Carnegie, because we know the Mon Monster hates art and hates all things that are good and happy. So story 1 comes from Philadelphia, where Gary Cobb, an analyst for Fox 29, has come up with a solution to help save the Philadelphia Eagles season. He says that they are having too much sex. He has told the players to cut sex out of their daily routines, and by doing so, they can save their football season. Sage-like wisdom from Gary Cobb, or could that just further the demise of the Philadelphia Eagles? You tell me. 412-407-2PGH if you want to interact with the show, at River Talk PGH on Twitter, or, of course, you can message us in the Facebook live stream, and you can find that at River's Edge or at River Talk PGH. Story 2 comes out of Idaho, and I love this. 100 goats rampaged through a neighborhood west of Boise, Idaho, and wreaked havoc. Goats are crazy. They wreaked havoc. I would love to release these goats on Mount Lebanon, just see people go nuts. Roamed through the town, ate away all of the gardens, all of the shrubbery.
The Mount Lebanese would be distraught.
Oh my gosh, they couldn't handle the deer situation. How would they handle 100 goats? But it has happened, yeah, out in Mount Lebanon, 100 goats. And we're going to go through these stories real quick, because we do have Christine Marie, and I know her and I, as soon as we get into it, it goes on and on. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying we talk a lot.
Yeah. I was being facetious, really.
And story 3 comes out of Peru, where they had a mass funeral. Well, kind of. There was a funeral. People went to the funeral, and 20 people were hospitalized because of the food served at the funeral home, and several were dead. 9 dead, at least 9 dead, due to the funeral food at a funeral in Peru. So
that's one way to ensure business.
Yeah, and I could tell you that Hahn Funeral Home, the only family-owned funeral home in Millville, would never stoop to such dirty tactics.
Hi, Jamie Hahn.
That's because
She's
the water
awesome.
in Millville.
What's that?
What?
The water in Millville.
I didn't say what?
I'm just saying Hahn Funeral Home is the only place to go if you want true dignity, respect,
Yes.
not some sort of corporate chain funeral home that exists in so many places. No, family-owned.
I didn't realize there was a McDonald's of funeral homes. Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But, and Hahn Funeral Home let us have a party there.
Yeah.
We threw a mock funeral for a mannequin that got burned in the Millvale studio fire. So they let us hold a mock funeral for the mannequin, and it was, a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited because I am going to be streaming Liz Victory and Krish Mohan's wedding coming up.
Oh.
But I streamed the funeral. It was a funeral for the mannequin of Millville Studios. I streamed that funeral, so I've come full circle. I've streamed a funeral. Now I'm going to be streaming a wedding.
Please don't stream a birth.
That
Put my foot down right now. No.
So if you have a baby, you're not going to want to stream it on the River's Edge.
No.
I hate you all. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I hope I didn't blast out.
I'm actually more concerned about the camera angle, not so much about my script. But
Yeah.
There we go. All right, cool. So we have with us those are your weird news stories. Hope they were good. Hopefully
Enough for
nothing.
your resident
hopefully,
weirdo.
Hopefully
Hello.
nothing happens. Yeah, nobody dies at any of the events going on. So
yeah, pro not dying.
probably not dying.
I like return customers personally. You know.
Yes. So Busnegie, excited about that. We're gonna. You said you had something to show us. Is that-
Oh yes. And should I? Which camera should
You
I
can just
bring
show it right here. This camera right here.
Okay. So.
So what do we have? I'll describe it as so we've got here. Okay, that is the opposite camera.
Okay.
Right there. Keep going. Excellent. Okay. So what does this say? The bench is dedicated to, I can't read it. Can you move it up higher? The bench is dedicated to people with lousy commutes. And then this bench is dedicated to the creative inside. Is that what I'm reading correctly?
The creative spirit.
Creative spirit inside. And those are going to be on the benches inside of the Busnegie. Very cool. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. It's 8 p.m. on Thursday.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So we have Christine Marie with us.
And the Busnegie will be up for at least 2 months, unless people steal stuff or
wow.
whatever. So nobody steal anything. Nobody do any graffiti on it or anything like that. Just if you want to put something up in it, just let me know.
I feel like we do the coolest things in this town when it comes to art. We've got Busnegie, and I kind of put that on a level with the yarn bridging.
Knit the bridge.
Totally what I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh, and my next transit themed. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up your time.
Okay.
My next transit themed art happening that I'm going to try and pull off after this when I recover from Busnegie will be the Guggenheim Garage Gallery of Pittsburgh. So there's a garage downtown that looks like the Guggenheim Museum of Art. It's like a big circular thing. It's right across from the mural of Andy Warhol and Andrew Carnegie at the beauty shop. The walls are pristine and white, and the lighting is better than most galleries. And I was in there, and I was like, we need to have an art show in this. Kind of like Art All Night, only people will bring parking chairs and put the art on the parking chairs. And there can be installations. So I need to clear that with the Pittsburgh Parking Authority. So if any of you out there have any connections with the Pittsburgh Parking Authority or anybody higher than that, let them know.
I feel like that's a superpower, or a super villain. I have connections with the Pittsburgh Parking Authority.
But just like how the numbers of people that liked Busnegie have made stuff happen, we support is power. So
sure,
yeah. Thanks everybody. I won't take up any more of your time, but thank you.
We're just friends.
It's Suzanne Werder, Busnegie, this Thursday. So we'll give it a plug before the end as well. But as many of you know, if you've been listening to the show, this is my least favorite time of year. The birthday, the cold weather, the misery, the death, maybe something like Busnegie will cheer my spirits. But I'm actually coming out. I'm coming into a happier, not a happier time. No, that's not really right. It's still coming. Winter's still coming, so I'm still miserable. But
how long does the time have to be for it to be happier?
It needs to be
3 days.
Spring.
Right?
Spring. Cool. It needs to be spring, basically. Before I become happy again.
Get a membership to FIPS. That helps so much.
That is a great idea. I used to be a member of FIPS, actually. FIPS is
Shout
great.
out to my wonderful cousin who just got engaged there. Woo!
Nice.
Sarah White, and whatever your last name will be in the future. Okay.
But it's been a weird month with PodCon and the ups and downs of life, and we brought Christine Marie back in studio to talk about my life, because what's more interesting than me?
Not a whole lot, of course, certainly.
So I'm excited. So you know what this all means.
I do. I know some things. Okay. So
and Christine Marie, just to recap, fortune teller, palmist, astrologist, everything. You're not a palmist.
I am not a palmist. I can do parlor tricks with palm stuff. There are a couple of cheats that I know. But I do tarot, handwriting analysis, astrology
That's what it is,
charts.
handwriting. Okay.
Right. Astrology charts, so natal charts, which is what I did on the show last time. Tarot, handwriting analysis, astrology charts, Reiki, and hypnosis. There we go. That's the list. If you don't know what Reiki is, it's an energy healing technique from Japan. If anybody tells you that they got their certificate from the YMCA, you walk the other way.
Where is your certificate from?
Well, so I have 2 personal trainers. They were Bill and Bria, but I can trace my lineage to Usui. So if anybody is actually serious about it, you ask them, can you trace your lineage?
I see.
That's the secret. That's how you know someone's legit, or if they're just trying to pass it off as something that it's not. It took me 3 years to get my master's certification. It was a big deal. And then hypnosis, I also have a certification. I'm a clinical hypnotist. I do everything from PTSD to non-smoking and weight loss, hypnobirthing.
You should live stream that.
Well, so here's what I do on my podcast. I tell you about the today's weather, astrologically speaking, but with hypnosis, it's a little bit different because a lot of people are more. It's more. How do I say this? All hypnosis is self-hypnosis, right? I can't tell a paraplegic to go stand on his head in the corner. It's not going to happen, right? That's not real. But if it's something that you want to do, then you will do it. And that's true of all the stage hypnosis that you see. You're not going to turn me into a chicken, are you? That's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
You wanted to be a chicken. You wanted to be a jagoff. Can I say jagoff in here?
Yeah,
all right.
you can say
We're in
whatever you
Pittsburgh.
want. Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to be a jagoff. You were a jagoff. Good job, How did you phrase the question so that I can answer it
Oh,
properly?
no. Well, I was making a joke based on the live streaming a birth.
And
you said
live streaming,
you
the
said,
hypno-birthing.
yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, oh, right. But so because of all of the things that I deal with, it's a more personal thing. So ethically, I do tape them, and you can have the tape, but I wouldn't live stream it.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that to you. Unless you asked me to, in which case, maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe,
I'm not pregnant, by the way.
Congratulations. It'll be a few more days before we officially decide that I'm not, but... Because I can say whatever I want on the air. That's how that worked.
It's online. It's internet.
It's online forever. Somebody knows my cycle. Hooray! You can count it down. All right, so let's talk about your life. So,
Yes.
Okay. So what I have pulled up right now is the chart for where the sky is today.
Okay.
And that's true of where a lot of the planets have been, right?
And let's just say, with PodCon, everybody else, and I think it has to do with a lot of expectation type
Sure.
of things, where,
Yeah.
I have extremely high demands and high expectations of where I want things. So PodCon, everyone's like, it's wonderful. And I'm like, it was an absolute failure. And then I'm coming around now to and processing it in my head, and I'm seeing, what transpired. And I'm like, well, it didn't accomplish everything I wanted it to, but, it was, it was
It
huge.
was
It was
what
a
it
huge
was.
event. It was
Absolutely.
a huge event, and it was, bigger than what most people would be able to put on.
Oh, easily.
So.
Easily. But most people wouldn't sacrifice that $500. They would have just canceled it.
Yes,
So-
that's true too.
No, you put a lot of work into that. I think that it was very good as a networking gig.
It was, and that's not at all what I wanted it to be.
I know.
At all.
But you could take the compliment where the compliment is due. If you still like Lady Gaga wanted to be a fashion designer.
Yes.
She stumbled upon this pop thing. She's good at it, So I'm telling you, I know that's not what you wanted, but you were kind of a pop star and not a fashion
He's
designer.
the Lady Gaga.
You're the Lady Gaga. So you've been Lucifer and Lady Gaga.
Can I wear a meat suit?
I mean, I guess.
I could make you one. I'm actually making a coat out of stuffed animal toys.
Oh.
So, so I will be having a stuffed animal fur coat this winter.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That could be my meat suit.
Yeah.
So there's a story that my friend tells about how he was on the bus in the summer, and this lady got on in the middle of July with a giant fur coat on, and everybody's like, ew, gross, what are you doing? And then she sat down, and the coat began to move, and everybody started looking around for a second, and then the coat fell apart, and it was a bunch of cats. She had 14 cats on her at the time. And they start running around the bus, and the bus driver stops and is like, you have to get off. And so she's got my babies. And she collects all the cats, and she gets off the bus. And my friend, 2 stops later, started to giggle. And so he wasn't allowed on the bus anymore. When you're the giggler, you got to go. I know.
I'll see you later.
That's how I got kicked out of Children's Hospital, is I giggled. What happened? My brother, okay, have you ever heard, you're a boy, have you ever heard of a thing called nipple rocks?
No.
Oh, no, this is a real thing.
What is that? Is that
When boys are teenagers during puberty, they will start to develop very tiny little fatty, not anything in their nipples.
Okay.
Right? They're called nipple rocks. And you get 3 of them throughout your whole adolescence, right?
One for each nipple.
Well, no. Some people, thank
Dirty
you very
mind
much.
over there.
It's a 1 in 150. Thank you. Yeah. So you get like 3 of them. But my brother, my youngest brother, his grew out. So he had one very large left titty. And so he had to go to the hospital, and they were discussing surgical options. And they were talking about aftercare. And Steven says, well, what are the rules? And the doctor says, you just can't use your left arm vigorously. See? Now, this man has a degree. You're a doctor. You know big words. You picked vigorously. So I snorted. And just like anybody, I could have pulled it off as a sneeze if anybody in the room wasn't thinking the same dang thing I was. But they were, and so I had to go stand in the parking lot. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Wow.
It's natural.
It is, kind of. Not when it's your little brother.
So
Not when you're in the children's hospital. You're not allowed to do those
Yeah.
things.
So back to PodCon. It
Right.
was so that happened. It was the birthday month.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, up and down. So you said why? You said it was supposed to be this way.
Yes.
month. Yeah.
Okay. So there is your planet, your main planet, which is Venus, right, is going retrograde right now, and it's been going retrograde. But it is also so. What does retrograde mean, right? Most people are like, oh, it goes backwards. The planets don't really go backwards. It's dumb. I know.
No, it's what grades were back in like the 60s and 50s, right?
Yeah.
They're retrogrades.
They're retrogrades,
Yeah.
right? I get it. But no, so when a planet goes retrograde, from our perspective, it is closer to our planet than it's been in any part of its orbit, right? So we have a stronger pull to it, much like the moon and the tides, right? But it's like when you're driving a car. So I'm in this car, you're in this car, and we both take off at this stoplight, but you're going a little bit slower than I am, so you look like you're going backwards.
Okay.
It's just because it looks slower.
Yes.
Right. Because it has a slower orbit, right? But it's not actually going backwards. It's an optical illusion.
I see.
Right. But where it goes back in the chart matters. So Libra rules Venus.
Keep going. I don't know what's going on.
We're being attacked by Bigfoot.
We're being attacked by something below us. It's
There are giants.
the
in
weird
the
stories
sky.
weren't good enough that the
the
Mon
woods.
monster's attacking.
Um,
For those of you who can't hear, there's like a giant pounding coming up through the floor.
it's the biggest thrill I've had in years.
And since you sang something from a musical, I'm dying to sing, Dawning of the Age of Aquarius.
Oh,
because you're
totally.
talking about
Yeah.
this, so-
No, totally.
But I don't want Brian to get in trouble with like copyright stuff. Are
Okay.
we allowed to do it?
if I don't have the rights to it, let's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just know that that song is running in my head right now.
Right.
And now it's probably running in yours.
Well, it usually is. That's fine. But anyway, so the ruling planet. So Venus rules 2 signs, Taurus and Libra. And Libra is because it is the evening or the morning star in the fall, right? It's the brightest star in the sky in the fall. So it is it's Lucifer, right? And it is boy Venus. It's the most beautiful voice, right? All of that. Well, it
now
is
I'm thinking Bjork. Anyway.
legit.
Yeah.
So what does all of this mean? So if something is going retrograde, it's sort of like pulling back the stick on the pinball machine. Like this is about to blow. Now,
Okay.
we have already been in a whole 6 weeks of Venus in Libra. So you've experienced all of the like highs and lows, like you said, right? But there is more coming. Like it's like going into Sonic, not like the restaurant, but like the video game when you were a kid.
Yes.
And like the extra, like you go back into the world and there's just coins everywhere that you have to collect. This is your coin collection.
So you're saying I'm about to like really explode?
You absolutely are.
I'm feeling that actually because
Yeah.
I was angry. I'm upset. I've been frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm coming into a point where like I'm ready to just like get shit done and
Yep.
come out as like a terror.
Yep, absolutely. Well, so there was like there was a drought, there was an ebb, and then there was a flow, and the flow was overwhelming, and then there was the drought, And now it is about gathering resources. It's about recognizing what those resources are. And it's going to be a lot of bringing people back who you didn't expect to see again. Venus is about relationships, is about networking, is about press, how you show yourself to the world, right? And also what you collect of the world. What is beauty to you, right?
Because I feel like I'm actually,
yeah,
yes, that'll be beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm actually thinking like almost like the, I don't know if it's the opposite, but like I'm feeling like I'm ready to like hold people accountable and be more like that now.
Oh,
like we're
hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so actually, yes. So this brings me to asteroids, and this is my new obsession. There's billions and billions of them. There's not billions and billions. I shouldn't say it that way. There's a Carl Sagan thing. So one of the asteroids. So the Libra new moon. So a new moon is when the moon and the sun are in the same sign. The full moon is when they're in opposite signs, right? But directly on the 15 degrees that both of those were is an asteroid named Helios. Do you remember the story of Cassandra, the prophetess?
I'm not sure.
Okay, in Greek mythology, she's the one that was like, the Trojans are coming.
Okay.
They're gonna... And no one believed her, right?
She was condemned to be unintelligible to...
Well, she would know the future, but no one would believe her.
Yes.
She has a twin sister. The twin sister also knows the future, but they didn't like how she said it.
Okay.
How appropriate is that for right now? Like, as a message of, like, look at how women are treated, right? And that is also to say, though, like, you have things that people may not like the message. Like, they need to hear the message, but they may not like the delivery system. And that is going to, like, in the way that you are, this is what everybody liked about PodCon, and this is why I consider it a total failure. Do you see how those words are different?
Yes.
Like, even in just selling that right there, like, you deserve to give yourself more credit of it.
But I feel like I've always had this view that when you accept something like that, for example, or like you're willing to settle, that is...
Oh, is it settling or is it perception?
Oh, it's definitely settling, because if you alter your perception, then you're settling to be okay with something, which you shouldn't... To me, you should never be okay with anything until you get absolutely everything that you want.
Oh,
but see, nobody else can see the perfect vision that you had in your head.
That's true.
But
that's why they're all wrong and I'm right.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, just because it doesn't match up with that perfection that you have in your head that nobody else can see, like, you can still have a really awesome event.
Sure, and I think I did. I think it was a good event,
Yeah.
but it wasn't what it should have been.
Right.
I was helping my cousin, who is a chef, with like catering, like this fancy party thing, and it was incredible. But the guy who was hosting it, like, there were just little things that weren't lining up with his perfect view. He did not enjoy the party, even though everybody else did, And
Sure.
And as an artist, like, I'm trying to learn to let go of that as well, And sometimes satisfacency can be okay.
Perfect is the enemy of good, right?
It is,
right?
It is.
Well, perfect is different. I didn't say it has to be perfect. I don't think anything needs to be perfect, but you have a vision of how you want things to be. And for example, a lot of people with my job, I have a job where I make pretty decent money for what I do, especially, and people were like, oh, you should be happy. One of the things I always hate when people say, oh, well, at least you have a job.
Right.
Well, to me, right then, you have failed. You have allowed yourself to become complacent in something that you don't want to do. By those very words. You should never be happy to just have a job. You should be unhappy because you're not in the job that you should have or the job that you want. And then you could...
I think it depends on your starting point. I think that you are coming from a place that is, pardon me for saying so, more privileged than necessarily other people.
Yeah, but a lot of people who say that are people who have been in similar situations, or people who are
No.
in a job that they like, and it's easy to say
Look,
that.
I agree with you that it is also easy to say that, but also there are legitimate places where that comes from that is not necessarily those people.
Well,
like,
sure. If somebody came to me who came from a poor community and said that, I wouldn't be annoyed. But it's always like, the people who also grew up in suburbia who have gotten
let
the
me
job
give you
that
a
they
perfect
want.
example of myself. In perfect suburbia, I lived directly behind Sunrise Elementary. When I was 2 is when we moved there. There wasn't anything. They built the suburbs around me. The reason my mom chose that house is because we had an orchard in the backyard.
Yeah.
I don't have an orchard anymore because Mom went crazy and had chainsaw therapy after the divorce.
Ooh.
But, but like, if you, like, here's my street is Government Road. If you go past my house, then you go into Paintertown and it's trailer parks. And it's the same trailer parks from the same family that's been there forever.
Yeah.
The VFW is just related. Like, there's nobody else there. And then you come around here, and then it's McMansions as far as the eye can see. And this, like, giant plan where everybody's a chiropractor or a dentist and their kids who are all throwing parties. And you come back down to my little, like, sad little dilapidated mother's house.
Well, I mean, it's not like I was rich growing up. My family struggled the whole way. We
No,
grew
I
up in a
don't
house
suspect,
that was,
but you also you are offered the opportunity to reach higher and not be dissatisfied until you are here, right?
No, not necessarily. I mean, a lot of people in my position would be happy where
In
they're
your
at.
position, right?
I am not one of those people, and I feel like if you have a goal and you're satisfied with anything short of that goal, then you've failed, in my opinion, or you've allowed yourself to slow down. You'll slow down when you're satisfied. If you're in a position, say you have a job where you're making a decent amount of money, you have benefits, you've got retirement and all of this stuff, and you say, well, here we go. I'm set. As soon as you put yourself in a position where you think that, okay, at least I'm here, you've now put the brakes. You've taken your foot off of the gas pedal.
I don't think that's true.
I do think it's true.
No. I think what about the distance of the goals? Like, yes, I super agree. You want to be up here, but it's gonna take time to get up here. So
But you should never be happy until you get there.
Well, as an artist, I encounter people all the time that say, "Oh, I can't even draw a stick figure," and so they never try art because they have been stifled. And their ability doesn't match up to that vision in their head. And they just think, oh, I wasn't born, with the ability to make it. Well, it's like, basketball.
Well,
you have to practice at it.
Well, that's a different mentality that I'm talking about,
Yeah,
though. I'm talking about a mentality where you can achieve where you want to go, and you should never be happy where you're at until you get there. So it's not a matter of saying, oh, well, I'm not there yet and I can't get there. It's like, no, I know I have the skills. I know I have the talent to get there, and I'm not going to be happy doing some sort of job that they could hire anybody to do.
But, pain is not without purpose either, and I think even if you're in a job that is not what you were born to do, it might be preparing you for that, and
well, sure, it's giving me the money to fund all this shit.
Or it could be a connection. It could be a skill. It could
it requires zero skills to do my job.
Or overcoming some internal barrier that is holding you back. So I think there can be purpose in anything. If you allow it. And sometimes process is more important than product as well. So just putting that out there, and I want to encourage everybody to go make some art. Don't worry about how it looks like when it's all done. Just go through the process of it, and that can be really healing and growth driven. Okay.
We only have a couple minutes real quick, so I do want to. Is there anything?
No, you can go ahead.
What is there anything else that?
Pressing things. So Venus is going retrograde into, it's in Scorpio, it's retrograde, it's going all the way back to Libra, and then it'll have to come back out again. Uranus is ultra retrograde in Taurus. I know. That's why I said it. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus, which there's a lot of Scorpio energy, and Taurus is the exact opposite on the wheel, which means a lot of house and home is going to be shaken up. A lot of people moving, a lot of people moving in. People that you
physically moving or
physically moving.
Oh wow! So people
Yep.
are going to be leaving the Pittsburgh area.
A lot of exodus. A lot of people are going to be coming back to the Pittsburgh area. Hello.
Yeah, welcome back.
Well, I'm not here forever. I'm going to disappear soon again. But I do have a couple of gigs to plug, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Coming up this weekend is the Creep Rods and how do you say it? Creep Rods and Creatures and Creep Rods. Right. Creatures, Creep Rods, and the Zombie Prom. I will be there all day. And I'll be doing tarot, handwriting analysis, astrology charts, Reiki, and hypnosis. At the end of the month, the 27th, I will be doing Empath's Sober Living Party for their Halloween get-go. So if you don't want to drink or be around drunk people, if you are like really into the healthy lifestyle and you get energy with the sun from your butthole, like great, come on down. We're in. We'll support you. Come hang out. I'm not that person. I need energy from things like meat and, Anyway.
You did say Uranus is in retrograde, right?
Uranus is in retrograde.
Yeah.
House and home.
Anything else to plug?
Yes. November 2nd, there will be a party. Sparkle Dragon's Magical Emporium, which is my sponsor, has all of my art downstairs, speaking of making
Nice.
art. Yep. And you should absolutely go to them. They're open every day of the week after 4 o'clock. I do readings out of there all the time. You can catch me and you can request me and we can all have fun and we can have personal parties. I'm also doing a lot of personal Halloween parties and, of course, now Busnegie.
Awesome. It's going to be this Thursday.
This Thursday.
All right. Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you.
It's Christine Marie, Suzanne Werder with at Art All Things.
Art All the Things.
All the Things. Your Twitter handle is?
Zodiac Tracker.
And I'm at River Talk PGH. This has been River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network. I'm Brian Crawford. I will be back this coming Friday, back with Jay Cooper, 7 p.m. right here, broadcasting from Mr. Small's Theater at riversedgepgh.com.